Hey everybody, welcome back to MACkite Wing Wednesdays. I'm Tucker, and today I'm going to talk to you about three new, or is it one model with a bunch of different sizes and names? I don't know. The brand new Fanatic Sky TE boards. Here I've got the Style model and the Free model, and then there's also a Surf model that's primarily for prone, but also sinker start, standing sinker start style riding. But for the majority of the people, the Free and the Style boards are going to be your boards to look to for most average conditions, most people in that kind of beginner to advanced level. So we're gonna look at these today and talk about why they're so awesome. So we'll start with the big dog here, the Sky Free. You can see here I've got the 95 liter edition. That's 5'3" by 26 inches. Beautiful purple and kind of mint color scheme here. And then here we have this Sky Style Team Edition in the 411 by 23 75 liter. So just standing back and looking at these two, you can see these are not just scaled models here. They're descriptive sizes and styles of this board designs for each individual type of riding that might be riding this board. So it's not, oh, we made a 95 liter board and we made it just scaled to every other size. So essentially it's kind of like the same level of performance for different size riders. No, they're considering the type of riding that you're doing with these boards. So the bigger size boards, obviously lighter winds, newer riders, more efficiency, boards that are easier to ride, easier to get on foil, easier to accelerate with less power, or if you're making mistakes. And then when you progress to the Sky Style, you see the design evolve a little bit to add additional performance, more room for harder turns. You know, you already know what you're doing a bit, so you can pull away at some areas, go smaller volume, more curvy, narrow outlines, so you can make harder turns, ride closer to the water, more at a hard angle with more power. So yeah, you're seeing that transition from a bigger light wind learning style board into a smaller, more aggressive, more experienced style riding board, or maybe it's just your wind range. Like for me, the 95 liter is great for the lightest of light winds. You know, I can get out on this and slog around in almost nothing, wait for a puff, get up and go on almost any foil. And being that it's a little bigger, it allows me to ride smaller foils. And being that it's so efficient, I can build that board speed on the water that's required for liftoff, even in light winds. And then moving to the Sky Style here, this one is definitely my board of choice when the wind is good or adequate at least. 75 liters is big enough for me to really, you know, do light wind relatively well with a big wing. Although it's not going to just cruise around and slog around quite as easily as the bigger 95 liter with that light wind design. It does have adequate volume, you know, to ride in relatively light winds if you need to. But also, you know, don't really need to go much smaller than this for the highest performance. In fact, in jumping freestyle, it's really nice to have a bit more board when you're trying new maneuvers because you're landing hard, you're not riding away on foil all the time. So having a bit more board under your feet really helps with that. And obviously with the volume, I mean, 75 liters is quite a lot really, but at 4'11" by 23.5, this board feels very, very small. It's almost to the realm of like prone board dimensions. Just a bit more volume in the nose to keep that nose up, make it easier to take off, keep it from purling, you know, when you're just floating on your knees or slogging on your knees, just cutting away at any unnecessary parts so that it's not getting in the way. Rides very much like a prone surfboard style board, just with more volume. So really amped on that. Some shared features of these boards. Both boards have a really nice pattern of foot strap options here. You can see I've got kind of two different options here. This one's set up on the narrow style. So not dead center, but a little bit off. And there's one more even over here, which is what I've got this one on, in that kind of 45-degree angle setup here. To get a bit more out onto the heel side here, whereas these narrower are really nice as well. and you almost get a little bit of like toe under here, so you get like a bit more leverage over those bigger foils, which is awesome as well. And it just works super nice, especially kneeling with the straps like this. You know, you can get your knees kind of on the outsides of them and almost even pinch these with your knees as you're going through waves and chop and whatnot. So awesome there. As you can tell, they both have kind of a domed nose here. That's going to add a bit more volume up front, make it a little bit more aerodynamic as you're turning and whipping that wing or that board through the air, almost like a foil shape, so that it slides through the air a little better. It's also going to keep the nose up, you know, as you're progressing through waves and chop, which is what you need to do. You don't need to be purling that nose and falling over the handlebars. So that really helps with that. The other reason you have this here is because the deck is kind of sunken in. I'll see if I can get you guys a good shot of these kind of from the side here. But there is a bit of concave to the deck. Got a bit more in the style than you do on the free, because generally you're riding smaller foils, your feet are a little closer to the center line. In this one, you might need to bring your feet a little further out if you're riding a really wide foil to help leverage that. So a little flatter deck, a little bit more volume under your knees here, and then this one's a bit more scooped out. You'll notice on both of them as well, you kind of have a tail kick almost, just a hint to push off that back foot. That really gives you a lot of confidence and feel off your back foot, especially when you're making some hard turns, something to push off of to get some extra leverage in the pitch. And that is a really neat feeling. If you've never felt it before, it's something you have to try. It's something I really look for in a lot of my boards nowadays, especially in something I'm going to be riding in the surf with more aggressive turns. So really neat to have that. I also notice on the back foot strap mount here, you have a dual setup here. So you can either go a little offset, which is really nice for that toe side foot, to get a little bit more to the toe side. If you have this one offset this way, just so you have good leverage in both toe side and heel side directions. You can also use both screws on these to have a really firm connection there, since you're entering it from both sides of the straps. You don't want it to favor one side and get twisted, and then makes it hard or uncomfortable to slide in from the other side. So that keeps them perfectly straight and in line if you want to use both screws for that. On both of these boards, we do have an auto vent. You don't need to touch these. They are regulated by Gore-Tex, so don't unscrew them unless they're damaged and you need to replace them. You can just leave them as they are and they automatically vent out any pressure in the board. I get this board flipped around, I can kind of show you what's going on the bottom here. Really fairly similar between these two boards other than the dimensions. You can see the contrasting color on the bottom, which is really neat. Looks great on the water, just a beautiful design they did at Fanatic here. The tail is pretty much dead flat, just a tiny bit of rocker coming out the tail. Very efficient, extremely fast, very easy to build speed, even in light wind, to slog, to build speed to lift off. Very, very easy to ride, especially in light winds. You notice we have the hard rail here, which helps the water release off quickly and let you build that speed. It doesn't wrap around the rail. And all of this is relatively flat. There's a bit of a hole just to help break that surface tension and progress through mild chop, make it smooth, but very flat, very efficient, no unnecessary wetted surface area, which means this board is kind of maximum efficiency, high speed, low drag, which is what you want in light wind, or if you're just trying to ride the smallest board possible. So looking at the track box here, it is in a great spot for the shape of the board. There is a lot of volume in the tail, so you'll notice that this track box is set further tailward. It also doesn't have any kind of a kick tail or accelerated rocker out the tail. So really planing, you know, off this flat section of the board here in the back half is what you want to be doing when you're building speed. So the track box is further back than some others. It plays nice with almost all foil brands, but you might want to be a little bit cautious if you're riding Armstrong or Nash. It's something that'll probably work, but you won't have a lot of flexibility in where you're putting the foil or your foot strap orientation. So keep that in mind. But pretty much every other foil brand works phenomenally on this foil box. So really amped with that and the foils I've been riding on it and the foot strap locations are really excellent with regard to where that box is. You can kind of superimpose here. Imagine those boxes are kind of in here. Really, that back foot strap option is kind of directly over the center of the foil box, so to speak. Yeah, pretty much directly over the foil box, if that gives you any indication of where you like to ride your straps and your foils. So that's kind of a generic overview of this board. The construction on it is a high density foam skin and carbon lamination. It's extremely tough. It is built like a windsurfer, you know, high-end windsurfer. So it is really tough. You can tell I've even got some chips and stuff just from putting this thing through the ringer. I've been treating it mean and nasty and haven't had to do any kind of repairs on it yet. So thumbs up for durability. It's fairly lightweight for a board of this quality, but it's not so featherweight that it's just gonna fall apart. For me, it's like the perfect balance of durability and weight. Very, very stiff. You know, there's no give to these boards, so every bit of energy between your feet and the foil are going back and forth immediately and no energy lost. So that's really key in terms of performance on a board like this. My review of these, honestly, I couldn't be happier. This has been one of the favorite boards I've tested so far. Everybody that rides a 75 liter, everybody I'll let ride the 75 liter, I don't see this thing out of my sight too much, but my coworkers have been loving it. Everybody at AWSI, everybody at our KOGL test event this past weekend has been absolutely going crazy for this board. Can't say enough about it for high performance. It's got enough volume to kind of do it all, other than super, super light wind for me at 200 pounds, but it's also small enough where I don't feel the need for anything smaller, really. I mean, I can go ride 10, 12 foot waves on this and I'm totally comfortable. You know, could I ride smaller? Certainly. Would I want to? I don't know that I'd need to. So as a one board quiver, I'd really be, you know, pretty stoked on the 75 liter with where I'm at. The 95 liter, man, we get a lot of light wind in the summertime. This board is key for those days where you go in and you're like, I don't even know if it's gonna work. With this board, if it's possible, it works. So fast, so fun, so easy to get on foil. And once you do get on foil, it's not this humongous, huge, ridiculous board. You know, it's pretty compact, not overly wide, just incredibly efficient. And what I would say for the 95 liter especially, maybe a little bit for the 75, is that they ride about 10 liters bigger than their size indicates. You know, so if you're on a 95, it almost feels like 105 in terms of its light wind ability. But then when you're up and flying, it's very small and compact, so it feels small. The 75 liter, you know, they're cutting out a bit from the nose and tail to make it that more surfy, aggressive style riding board. So that one rides a bit more true to size. If you do want a 75 liter board that rides like a bigger board in terms of light wind ability, the Sky Wing normal construction, the maroon colored ones are excellent for that. This one's just a bit more aggressive in the TE construction this year. It's a totally different shape, different dimensions. It's narrower, a lot more, you know, cutouts, more curvy outline. Whereas, you know, the 75 liter in the standard construction is closer to what this 95 liter is, you know, with a bit more full features and plane ability, light wind ability. So yeah, you know, choose your size, choose your construction. The new TE style and free boards are really that step up from the standard construction in the Sky Wing boards. They're a bit more expensive, but it pays off in terms of the performance and the durability, and they are awfully sharp as well, certainly stand out at the beach. So big thumbs up on these. As you know, I always try to give a negative on a review like this. It's really hard to find on these because I am so excited about them. I'd say the first negative is the price. They are pretty expensive as far as boards go. You know, there's a lot of boards out there where you could buy 2 boards for the price of one of these, especially with closeout models this year. So that is a consideration. You know, it's not going to be in everybody's budget, which is a bummer because these are so good. But those people that are willing to pay for it, that have the budget for it, you're certainly going to be super excited about these. They're going to last you a long time. They're going to give you the highest levels of performance in each category, as long as you're choosing your size correctly. So feel free to reach out to us at the shop and we can certainly help you with that, help you talk about what you're dealing with, what you're riding now, where to go next, and get you on the right size for what you want to do. The last thing I would say that's a negative, maybe it's not even a negative because really it's like, can't have it both ways, is the style boards. As I mentioned, you know, the Sky wing boards, the maroon ones, in the standard construction, they do carry a little bit more nose width, a bit more tail width, so they're easier to ride. They're a little bit longer even. They have better light windability in that style. These ones are definitely more for your intermediate plus rider. Wouldn't put, you know, anybody that's new to riding on the style board, even if they were lightweight, because really these boards are designed for maximum performance, high level performance, not so much for ease of use. So if you're after ease of use, grab the Sky Free or grab the Sky wingboard, the maroon one, the standard construction. If you're after super high performance and you already have the basics down, the Sky Style, choose your size. It's gonna be really happy for you. And lastly, with the Sky Surf, those are primarily prone boards, but if you're after a standing sinker board, you know, in that kind of like 30-ish liter range, that's certainly going to be an awesome option as well. It's a lot like these, only quite a bit narrower, you know, and more surfy dimensions in terms of the thickness. So that's a great option for that. Same construction, just, you know, smaller sizes and more of a prone surfing type shape for those. So as always, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments section below, guys. Give us a thumbs up, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel to see more awesome stuff like this. You can jump into our website using the eye icon, check out more cool products like these, buy one, get it shipped to you, pick it up in store, whatever you need to do. And we'll be happy to help you with anything else on phone, email, chat, smoke signal, I don't know, whatever. Catch us at the shop and we'll see you next time.